The fight is done. We lost.
Welcome back, Screen Crush. I'm Ryan Airy. The trailer for Obi-Wan Kenobi still has my head spinning. Now, we did our breakdown and Easter egg video where we found all the little Star Wars connections and clues about the series. But what I like best about the trailer is what's not in it. We haven't even seen Vader yet, even though we saw the concept art that showed he is going to have a rematch with Obi-Wan. Now, a little later, I'm going to be joined by two of the best Star Wars experts, Adam Lance Garcia and Shaylo Wren. We're going to talk about the cameos we might see and how this show is going to flesh out the time between the trilogies. But I'm just jazzed because we don't know who else is going to show up in this. Is Qui-Gon's Force Ghost going to be in it? Will Yoda project his astral self to help Obi-Wan using the same technique that we saw Luke employ at the end of The Last Jedi? You Clone Wars fans know there's only one cameo out there that I am dying to see.
Kenobi!
This show is going to take Obi-Wan off Tatooine on some mission against the Sith Inquisitors. One of his damned idealistic crusades, I'm sure. Now, what's going to be really cool about this concept is that Obi-Wan is used to functioning with a large support network. He's always had the strength of the Jedi Council and the Republic to back him up, so he could easily walk into a seedy Coruscant bar and just chill.
Where are you going, Master? For a drink?
But now, Obi-Wan does not have a safety net. For the first time in his life, he is on the wrong side of the law, and this means that he's going to need help from some unsavory characters. Hondo from the Clone Wars was this wise-ass pirate who always enjoyed annoying Obi-Wan.
You're welcome! Oh, the thanklessness! What an accusation! I am gone. I will send you my bill.
So seeing him would be a lot of fun.
For sure, da.
Are you speaking Huttese right now?
I sure am. I just getting ready for Obi-Wan.
I don't know, man. Star Wars language are actually gibberish. I think you're better off learning a new language. Like me, I'm learning Spanish.
Voy a la boca de incendios.
Yeah, go to the bathroom, that's fine. See? I'm learning Spanish with Babbel. They're the sponsor of this video. Babbel helps you to start speaking a new language in just 3 weeks. If you've ever thought about learning a new language but you were too intimidated, then Babbel is the perfect app for you. And if you use our link in the description to sign up, you get 65% off your subscription. Babbel uses short, 10-minute lessons that are made by actual language teachers, not some AI or an algorithm. The lessons use real-life situations and dialogue that you would actually use in the real world. Like you show up at a party, you don't know anyone, and you're looking for your friend. And it really works. University studies have shown that 15 hours of Babbel equals a semester of college Spanish, and they offer lessons in 14 different languages.
Oh, can they help me to learn Huttese?
No, because that language is made up. But if you want to learn a new language, then you really should try out this offer. Click the link in the description to get up to 65% off your subscription. You can try it out, and if it's not right for you, take advantage of their 20-day money-back guarantee. Now, back to Obi-Wan. I think the #1 cameo that we're going to see in this show is Darth Maul, or at least his crime syndicate Crimson Dawn.
Wait, Obi-Wan killed Darth Maul in The Phantom Menace.
Haha, but he didn't. The Clone Wars revealed that Maul survived his having, got himself a pair of
Magic legs.
and he established not one, not two, but 3 different crime syndicates, all of which failed. He was driven by revenge on his old master for abandoning him, so he swore to destroy the Sith. But he also swore revenge on Kenobi, for obvious reasons, so he killed the Duchess of Mandalore. That was a woman that Obi-Wan had very strong feelings for.
Had you said the word, I would have left the Jedi Order.
Now, if you remember the end of Solo, it was revealed that Kira was actually working for Darth Maul and that he ran the crime syndicate Crimson Dawn. Something really bad must have happened to him somewhere in there because the next time we see him, it's a few years later and he's stranded on another planet where he was looking for a Sith holocron.
Now I am called Maul.
Now, the rivalry between Maul and Kenobi reaches a fitting conclusion in the show Star Wars Rebels. After their final duel, Kenobi reassures Maul that the boy, Luke, is the one who will end the Sith.
Is it the chosen one? He is. He will avenge us.
Now, I don't think that Obi-Wan is going to duel Darth Maul in this show. It's going to feature a different Sith rematch. But since Obi-Wan is going to need the help of these crime syndicates, he'll be brushing shoulders with lowlifes. Maybe he'll need the help of Crimson Dawn at some point. And there's another reason I think Darth Maul will be in the show that I'm going to go over at the end of the video. So in this show, to get off-world, maybe he'll seek out a transport out of Mos Eisley, like he would do 10 years later with Luke. And while he's there, he might encounter a certain smuggler with the heart of gold, Han Solo. After all, the Obi-Wan Kenobi series is set at the exact same time as the movie Solo. So you never know, they might both end up being at Jabba's palace asking him for help. But I am lucky to be joined by 2 of my all-time favorite Star Wars people. We have Adam Lance Garcia and Shaylo Wren. I'm really happy to talk to you two because both of you came into Star Wars through different trilogies. Adam, you're obviously a fan of the original trilogy. Shaylo, Phantom Menace was kind of your introduction to Star Wars. So this show is kind of bridging the gap that exists between your eras. So I'm really excited to hear what you think about it, what you're excited about. First of all, let's go ahead and start with Shaylo. Shaylo, what did you think about the trailer?
I thought it was everything that I wanted it to be. And, like, I'm trying not to get my hopes up too much, but what I really want is, like, a deep dive into where Obi-Wan is mentally. And I think from the trailer and from the images we've seen so far, it looks like we are definitely getting that. Fingers crossed.
So when you say where he is mentally, like, what are you thinking? Like, has he totally given up? Is he hopeful that Luke is going to be a thing, or is he just protecting his life? What do you want to see here?
There was that interview where Ewan McGregor talked about how Obi-Wan at this point is kind of beaten down and a little bit given up, and like, duh, because he literally lost everything. So I really we saw what happened to him, and then we saw him in A New Hope after he had kind of already worked through it. I want to see him going through all of the turmoil and the trauma and dealing with it, and how that shaped his view of the Force and his philosophy in life. I want to see if it shakes his faith in the Force or how it affects him psychologically. So that's what I hope we really get into.
You know, you raise a really good point, because if you're following the hero's journey, then when R2 showed up with Luke, with, you know, Anakin's other kid in the hologram, he should have denied the call to adventure. He should have said, no, we tried that and we lost. So I never even thought about that. You're totally right. There has to be a point in this show when he goes, okay, no, I'm waiting and I'm gonna go fight back. That's really cool. Adam, what about you? What were your thoughts on the trailer?
Like Shayla, it was very much exactly what I wanted to see. I think I really want to see that. Again, I'm just going to kind of repeat what Shayla said. Like, I really want to see the mind of Obi-Wan. I want to understand his journey throughout this period. The other thing I really want to see is him. As weird as it sounds, I really wanted to see him get off Tatooine. Like, as much as when I first heard about it, I was like, I don't know, how does that fit in the canon? Does that make any sense? Is that the right choice? But the closer we got to seeing the trailer, the more I learned about the project. And now finally seeing the trailer, it's like, yes, this is exactly what I want. I do want to see more of a, not necessarily a travel log of the Star Wars galaxy at this period of time, kind of like what The Mandalorian is in between Episode 6 and Episode 7. I do want to see Obi-Wan get off Tatooine for a reason. It seems like that's what they're doing. It just opens up all of these really interesting story and character points for him at this period of time. Like, why does he leave?
And I think after Book of Boba Fett, we're all pretty excited to get off Tatooine.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I had the same thought. I was like, oh, well, this will just be about him stopping Tusken Raiders or something, or befriending them.
Like in the novel,
clearly he can't leave, because we saw him on Tatooine, Revenge of the Sith, and then we saw it. So nothing could have happened in between, which kind of in the way shows the limits of some fans' imaginations. I'm one of these fans with a limited imagination. Like, what is canon is canon. So you mentioned why he would be leaving the planet, and the trailer definitely makes it look like it's the Sith Inquisitors. They're on Tatooine. They've gotten word of a Jedi. He might have slipped up and done something to help him. So that definitely could be a reason. Could also be, like I alluded to earlier, something to do with, you know, Darth Maul or some other character in canon. But what do we think about the leaving of Tatooine? Like, do we have any theories, like, or things you'd like to see happen? Why is he leaving Tatooine?
I think it's totally got to be the Inquisitors, because in the trailer we see that, like, they got so freaking close to Luke, because the Inquisitors literally are right there with Uncle Owen. So, like, the fact that they got that close to Luke is, like, kind of scary. And that's, to me, that's, like, the most logical reason why Obi-Wan would leave Tatooine, because they are hot on his trail, clearly.
My theory is that, and until proven otherwise, the reason why he leaves Tatooine is that he can't find a beard trimmer. But he just can't find one. So yeah, so it's the inciting incident. He can't shave his beard, so he leaves Tatooine. No, I think that it's either to Shayla's point, like the Inquisitors show up and it prompts him to leave, sort of like as a way of distraction. Or there's sort of like a call, there's a crisis that leads him to go to something. I think it's a good idea. I think it's definitely partly the Inquisitors coming in to try to drive him away. There also has to be something, just from a sort of pure storytelling aspect, that he has to go towards. Because if it's just him running, then it's just like he runs back and comes back. It's just basically it's a circle. If he's not going towards something, and that doesn't necessarily have to be in the first episode or even the second, it's something that can sort of drive him forward, that he's going towards. I think that will inform his character arc from going to having lost faith to gaining a new hope. I think that's going to be important in this story.
And that makes total sense with what the Inquisitor says, because the Inquisitor in the trailer says something like the Jedi can't help but go towards compassion. I can't remember the exact quote, but that would totally make sense if he was going to help or a call to something, because Obi-Wan is not the type, I don't think, to stay sitting forever if he needs to go somewhere and help.
What if the compassionate reason he leaves the planet is Darth Vader? So he does not know that Anakin lived, that Darth Vader still lived. I think he does know. In Revenge of the Sith, he does learn that his name is Darth Vader now. And in Star Wars Rebels, when Kanan and Ezra first encounter Vader, they say, "What was that thing?"
Kanan, what was that?
Like, they don't even recognize Vader as human. So it seems like in between the trilogies here that Vader is sort of the shadow enforcer of the Emperor. He's not the person who's like out giving speeches. People don't know who he is. He shows up in royal court. He deals with things, but the common everyday person, especially in the far reaches of Tatooine, would have had no reason to have heard of Darth Vader. I'm wondering if these Inquisitors come to town and then they name drop Vader, or Vader could even be there. And then, it probably wouldn't be there, but they name drop Vader, and then Obi-Wan is like, Anakin's alive. Like, oh my God, I left him to die, and there has to be good in him. I can turn him back. We can fix this. He could leave, go after him, and then something happens between the two of them where he realizes, no, my apprentice is gone forever, which is why he tells Luke,
he's more machine now than man, twisted and evil.
Well, and I think you got something there, because it's like this idea that I don't even think he does. I can't remember if in Revenge of the Sith, if Obi-Wan even knows that Anakin is called Darth Vader at this point. And in Rebels, to your point,
he said, sorry, actually in canon.
Oh, right. Like,
he's kneeling down to him, and he says,
Lord Vader.
Lord Vader.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Okay, so there is that.
But
Now, Lord Vader, go and bring peace to the Empire.
But I will say, yes, to your point, like also in Rebels, when Ahsoka finds out that Anakin is Vader, that is one of the strongest moments in all of Rebels is the Anakin and Ahsoka storyline. And I think that it would be really fascinating if his sort of quest is to maybe not save Vader, but defeat him. And oh shit, what if he actually sees a sign of good in Vader, and that's the new hope? It's or it would contradict
what he tells Luke, but hell, Obi-Wan lies to Luke so much and manipulates him.
Yeah, it could be anything.
It's hard to
But no,
tell
I think you're onto something. This idea that Vader finding out that Anakin survived is what prompts him to sort of leave Tatooine. That's a good idea, Ryan.
Yeah, I hadn't even considered it, but I'm all about that. That's great. And one of the producers of the show said something like Vader's shadow is cast in all that we're doing, or something, like he's going to be a big motivator, big part. So it's that makes a lot of sense. I love that theory.
Yeah, I'm down.
Well, I always thought that would be the reason he left the planet, but it never occurred to me that it could be to save him before. So we all made this theory together here on Screen Crush. Okay, so let's talk about Darth Vader, because you very much get the feeling from the Lucas trilogies that we had Revenge of the Sith, we had that duel, and then he left him, and then in A New Hope, he says,
when I left you, I was but a learner. Now I am the master.
And it seems to pretty heavily imply that the last time they met was there on Mustafar. But now there's a different time that they meet. So I wonder how that's going to fit in canon. Is it something that it kind of feels like maybe they're forcing to have happen? Would we have been better off if they almost met? Like ships in the night, and then they, we're thinking, oh, is it good? Oh, no, it doesn't happen. So that would make the New Hope duel mean even more. Shayla, what do you think? Where are your thoughts on, should we be having this Vader duel? What are you looking forward to about it?
Yeah, I personally am pretty excited about it because I feel like in A New Hope that Duel was very much closure almost. I want Obi-Wan to see what Anakin became as like physically as a direct result of his actions. He's like a monster now, like physically. So I want Obi-Wan, while his emotions are raw. Sorry, I love Obi-Wan. It sounds like I want him to suffer. I just want to see their interaction while his emotions are raw, and he is now not just sad Anakin, he is dark monster Vader. So I am personally very excited for this interaction.
And we haven't seen many good live-action Vader fights. I mean, the Rogue One hallway, is the only one we've seen. Whereas, like in Rebels, you see the guy throw down. In the comics, there's some great Darth Vader action scenes. So I am looking forward to that aspect of it, like actually getting to see these two, little past their prime, maybe a little rusty on Obi-Wan's part, but a little better than this. I do kind of hope that there's a little bit of Force lightning involved that maybe ages Obi-Wan a few years, so he looks a little closer to Alec Guinness. Yeah. But I don't know if they'll stretch things that far. Adam, how about you? What are your thoughts on the Duel?
I'm sort of two minds. It's something that I'm really excited, again, just as like a pure fan service. Like, this is just really cool to see. I think Shayla made a really good point of this idea of like having Obi-Wan see what he did to Vader. That's a really cool story point that I didn't even consider. I think it's really going to come down to how it's done in the show, where it's done in the show, and the context of how it's done, because there's so much that there's so much meat there, but you don't want to you don't want to muddy the narrative too much, because to your point, like once I was like the learner, now I am the master. Like, is it because he at this time wasn't the upper echelon of Palpatine's enforcers? What does that mean? I think there's a lot there. In theory, it's something that I'm really excited about because it's as a fan service. Like, I really want to see Obi-Wan and Vader come together again. I just hope that within the narrative of Kenobi and the sort of meta narrative of the trilogy of trilogies, that it doesn't muddy the waters too much.
Yeah, solid point. And to your point you mentioned a second ago, and I never even thought about this before. So you said maybe the reason he says, when we last met, I was the learner, now I am the master. I had forgotten this, but in the comics, you see a lot more, like there's several Darth Vader comic series. One of them is set basically right after Revenge of the Sith. He has to go earn his lightsaber. I love it. It would have made a great movie. Part of that is the Sith Inquisitors are his competition. So the Emperor does not like anoint Darth Vader and say, oh, well, you're second in command. This is, everything the sky touches will be your kingdom. He pits all of his servants against each other. He's like George Bluth. He makes everybody kind of fight for his approval and attention. And so maybe at this point, even 10 years after, Palpatine puts him back together again, even a decade later, Palpatine is still making him earn his keep. And this series could actually show us how he, once and for all, says, no, I am. Like, screw you, Inquisitors, I am the guy. Like, I'm the one who, like, wiped out this covert of Jedi, or, like, whatever it is.
One thing I hope to see, but also I kind of hope they find an interesting way around it. One thing that I loved in Rebels, one of my favorite moments in the entire series, was the Ahsoka Vader fight, and his mask breaks open, and you hear Anakin's voice say, Ahsoka.
Ahsoka.
Anakin.
I kind of want to see that in live action, because we never really saw that in live action with Obi-Wan. At the same time, I want to make sure that it doesn't touch upon that really great moment from Rebels. Like, I don't want to like undermine the power and the strength of that moment in Rebels by doing it again, but in live action. So I'm sort of like of two minds. Like, I really want it, but also like, please do it justice.
Another thing about these shows that, depending on your point of view, can either be great or a little bit of like, oh, okay, a little eye rolling, is the cameos, right? So even going back to like the Clone Wars, every few episodes you would get, here's Boba Fett, here's these characters from the original trilogy. The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett have been loaded with cameos from the Clone Wars and from future installments. And this is a really fun period for this show to be set. We could potentially see characters from the Clone Wars, from the Bad Batch, from the Mandalorian, from the original trilogy, maybe even, God help us, Rey's clone father walking around somewhere. Like anybody, basically, Lord Santaka, that's a better example. Basically, anybody can be in this show. And I already went over a couple people I'd like to see. Hondo. Kenobi! Come on, we all want to see it.
Of course.
I would even take a Jar Jar cameo just because I'd like to see something with him where he's like not annoying, but it kind of like makes his prequel appearances better. But I want to know what you guys think. I want to know who's your go-to cameo you think would be like the key person in all this. Shaylo, do you want to go first?
Yeah, there's only one person I feel like could, in my opinion, really contribute to this in a not distracting way for me personally. And that's Cody. I feel like if there was some way that they could get the inhibitor chip out of Cody, I don't know if they would talk about that or if that'd be talked about later, but if Cody had the inhibitor chip removed, I would love to see him and Obi-Wan interact after what he did to Obi-Wan and them and their mutual trauma. I would love that interaction. So Cody is my big one.
Yeah, Commander Cody would be great, especially because in the Clone Wars we had their relationship fleshed out a little bit more. And Revenge of the Sith, you see they're just like, they know each other they seem familiar, but we didn't get that backstory until like the animated series. That'd be cool. I think they would probably put Rex in before him just cause. Mm-hmm. But everything doesn't need to be Captain Rex. I agree with you. I'd like to see some of these other clones played by Tamara Morrison, actually. Adam, how about you? Who's your go-to cameo?
Honestly, I feel like I'm gonna let you down. Like, it is Jar Jar. I would love to see Jar Jar one more time.
Okay.
Because I think there's a couple of things to the reason why. Like, and Ryan, you touched upon it already. Like, let's see him in a sort of way that sort of helps smooth out his appearances in the prequels. One thing that we always look at with Clone Wars and why it's so beloved is that it kind of made the prequel era better because it gave all this new context. There's this beautiful little sort of chapter in Chuck Wendig's Aftermath trilogy. And I can't remember which exact book it is. But there's this great little anecdote of after Return of the Jedi, all like the refugees are going to Naboo. And there's this sad clown. And I get emotional thinking about it. But there's this sad clown who just wants to make people happy. And no one loved him. And it's never said, but it's Jar Jar. And if I can get something like that about something with Jar Jar regretting the choices he made that helped prop Palpatine up, even if it's like just a small moment, a small conversation with him, like visiting Alderaan or something to that nature, it would just help complete his arc. And I think it would also just be really like, again, that fan service sloppy Joe. It would just be, I think it would be great. I think it'd be absolutely fantastic to see that. Because that's the best thing about Star Wars is that like you can take all these different aspects and it and give it new context. I think that's what I'm so excited about with this series is like, in theory, I was against it. I'm like, what do? You can't leave Tatooine. And now I'm seeing like, oh wait, this changes. We've talked about it. It changes the narrative. So do that with Jar Jar. Why not? Why not?
I'm all for it. Hey, Jar Jar is the one character I wanted to see in Force Awakens that I was denied. So I'm totally up for it. So here's why I think Darth Maul will appear in this show. We see him on this planet where he was stranded when he was looking for a Sith holocron. He got stranded on that planet somehow. So maybe one of the reasons why Obi-Wan leaves Tatooine in this series or in the next one was because he wants to deal with Darth Maul. He hears that Darth Maul is controlling a crime syndicate called Crimson Dawn, and he knows that Maul is too powerful to be set loose on the galaxy. I mean, after all, the Sith Inquisitors are in this show, and in the show Rebels, the 8th brother was tracking Maul. So it makes sense that he and Obi-Wan and the Sith Inquisitors could all intersect at some point. So it could be Obi-Wan who actually caused Maul's ship to crash on this planet, and instead of giving him a ride off, he left him there. This would make Darth Maul hate Obi-Wan Kenobi even more and set up their final rematch in Rebels. Great, so let's get your final thoughts here. Shaylo, overall, like where are you leaving us? Obi-Wan Kenobi, where are you at? Where's your excitement level at?
Honestly, especially after The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett. This is the most excited I've been for a Star Wars show, probably ever. And I don't want my expectations to be too high, but just the fact that we're finally going to get a deep dive into one of my favorite childhood characters, and the director is Deborah Chow, and she does a great job at capturing like emotional moments. It's going to fit what I've wanted from Star Wars for a long time, so my excitement for the first time is very high.
Adam Lance Garcia, what's your hot take?
I'm just gonna kind of echo what Shaylo's saying. This is the most most excited I've been about a Disney Plus Star Wars series. As much as I'm very sort of tired of the sort of episode 3, episode 4 bridge period, I think we've kind of mined that to death in animation. I'm really unequivocally excited about just seeing Kenobi again in this period of time, exploring this character. I'm more excited about this than I was about The Mandalorian, about the Book of Boba Fett, just because it's this chance to revisit characters that we love in a very significant way in a period of time that we never really saw these specific characters in. It's what I want from these Disney Plus series, if they're gonna do like legacy characters, like really give us new stuff, really dive deep in. I don't want to get my hopes up, but I was jumping up and down in my apartment for a good 6 hours yesterday. So,
all right, thank you both very much for joining me. Adam Lance Garcia, where can the people find you?
You can find me basically at Adam Lance Garcia on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. And if you want to listen to my audio drama, the first season of The Green Llama is now available everywhere podcasts can be listened to. And there's some other cool news coming that I really want to tell you about, but I can't just yet.
We got to have you back on to tell us about that. And Shaylo Wren, where can the people find you?
You can find me on TikTok, Twitter, and Twitch, the 3 T's, at Shaylo_Wren. If you want to have fun about all things nerdy.
Well, thanks again very much for joining me, but we want to hear from you guys. Tell us down in the comments below what you think of Obi-Wan, how excited you are, or you can @ me on Twitter. And if it's your first time here, please subscribe and smash that bell. For Screen Crush, I'm Ryan Airy.